Listen to this episode if you have been struggling to get consistent online sales in your product-based business. Now, I know that this is such a landmark for so many people. You start this business, you're starting to get a couple of sales a month, but you really want them to be consistent. And of course, consistent is kind of a relative term, but what that really means to me is a couple a day, a couple kind of in between random without you having to hard sell or have a launch or have a sale going on. It's kind of just sales flowing on in as you are going on throughout your day. Today, we're going to talk about what to do and the two major focuses that you need to have and to do online that a lot of people don't do in order to get to this consistent sales mark. If you don't know me, hello, I'm Madison Page. I am the host of the Small Business Growth Podcast. I help small businesses stand out and sell out on social media by building a ride or die community around their brand. And really, I have helped over 400 businesses intimately and hundreds more through my podcast, through my passive courses and everything else. But really, when it comes down to it, is I have looked at the behind the scenes of so many businesses. I've worked with hundreds to get to this consistent sales mark. I've helped over 100 people quit their 9-to-5 and truly have kind of that knowledge of, okay, we're here, this is where we want to be, this is the gap that you have, and these are the things that you need to do in order to get there. Especially when it comes to getting to consistent sales, a lot of it is we need to accomplish these certain things, tweak these certain things, and you get to where you're trying to go. Because getting people to buy consistently is more of a science. It's more of a strategy. You need to have these different things in there, and it starts to come. So I want to dive into the two major pieces that I find that people are missing when they are not yet to consistent sales. Maybe you have a couple of sales coming in a month. Maybe you get a couple of sales when you launch something, but it feels like you constantly have to be launching it. You know, in person people buy from you, but it's hard to translate those sales online. You feel kind of stagnant on social media. You just don't know what it is to get those people to start buying. So if that is kind of the spot that you're in, keep on listening, listen until the end, and we have a lot of good information here. The two major focuses that we're going to be talking about are both community and connection, kind of the connection with your audience, as well as messaging and sales kind of focused messaging. These two things have to be paired really well together. And when people don't have these, whether it's in their content, whether it's in their marketing, whether it's on their Instagram stories, in their Instagram reels, if they are missing these two major elements, you can have so many other things going well for you. But if you don't connect to your audience and don't focus on that community, and if you don't have the proper sales messaging, people aren't going to be buying from you like they really should be. You need to understand how to build community and sell to people effectively through copy and messaging with what you have. Your content will not be strong without that sales messaging, and that like obsess factor, that connection that people have to your brand will not be there unless you build community. Now, community is at the center of everything that I teach, and so I will teach brands that have no sales coming in to $100,000 plus, $500,000 plus of sales coming in, how to build that community greater, because that is really the core of your business. It's what gives you longevity. It's what gives you that balance. It is what gives you that freedom. So that community is there, but you need the proper sales messaging and how to really frame things in a sales funnel in order to really understand how to get people through. What I see a lot of times is when people are struggling in kind of this in between of getting some sales, but they're not really consistent, is they're putting content out there. They're putting new launches out there. They're putting new products out there. And yes, people are interested, but you don't really know how to get people to buy the moment you want somebody to buy. And that is really what the major focus is in what we're going to talk about today. So first things first is community. When you build community, people love you. They love what you stand for. They love everything you put out there. They will bring energy to everything and anything that you launch. Community means you have people messaging, DMing, engaging. You have people so tapped into your business. Now, this doesn't even have to be that they're engaging, because you probably have a lot of silent community members, but it's really just showing evidence of people being incredibly connected to your brand. This is kind of the bread and butter of what I teach all of my clients, is how to get kind of that obsess factor around your brand. You know, the kind of businesses that you come onto their profile and you're like, holy cow, how have I never seen this business before? I love everything they have. This is so my style. I want to buy it all. I don't know why. I just am so drawn to it. That is what we want to create for you with your right people. A lot of times when businesses are stuck kind of in this like purgatory in between getting sales and not getting any sales, like getting some sales but not like enough sales, it's because you're more talking at them than talking with them and creating that community and that connection. It's a lot of the, here is my business, here is the product I'm building, it is so wonderful, I love it, these other people love it, you need to go and buy it. Look at how cool it is, look at how cute it is. Like, there's so many awesome things that have to do with this product, you need to go and buy it, which is great and it's totally valid. But just because you love your own product does not mean that other people are naturally going to want to buy it. You need to kind of create that messaging, which brings us to number 2, but you need to create that messaging that kind of makes it collaborative, that makes them feel like you're speaking with them, that makes them feel like you are talking to them, that they are a part of the community that surrounds your product, that surrounds these incredible products, that you're actually speaking to their needs, making them feel like they own your product, making them really connect to you. This really starts at the foundations of your business. In order to build community, a lot of it is foundational stuff. It's what sets you apart. It's your ideal customer. It's really understanding those things at the very core, because that is what actually builds your community. It's who, like, the specific ideal customer you're talking to, the messaging that really hones in that ideal customer into a certain side of the internet, as well as it builds into your content. You can't make proper content to build a community if you don't have those foundations set. So with everybody I work with, especially people that are trying to get to consistent sales, is we just make sure your foundations are concrete, specific, and unique enough in order to get you to kind of that next step, in order to build this really industry-leading high-level community. And then it builds into content. We need to make some changes to your content. We need to make sure that your content is built with variety. You know that I teach 7 types of content. With that variety, the average business owner is only posting 2 of 7 types of content. Those other 5 types of content, maybe not all of them are building that connection, building that relationship, but the majority of them are really focusing on building community. So if you feel like that nurture point is what you're missing, if you feel like that community element is what you're missing, you need to add more variety to your content. You need to have a framework. You need to understand what it is to actually build community. Community building is literally what I teach at the core to every business owner that I work with, because it is what sets you up for longevity. It's what guarantees sales every time you sell, is because these people are so tapped into who you are, to what you stand for, to the business that you have, is that they just want to buy it. They're like, okay, what are they launching? I want it. What is it going to be for? I love it already, because they love your product. They love your brand. They love you. They love what everything kind of that encapsulates inside of it. So this starts at the foundation, and then it moves into content. It's how you frame your content. It's what you post on your stories. It's how you frame your emails. It's what questions you're asking. It's what you are actually saying, which moves us into number 2, which is messaging. And when we talk about messaging, is you need to really understand what gets your audience so tapped in to want to buy. You need to speak about your product in a different light than what you're speaking about now. Because if you cannot get to consistent sales yet, if you feel like people just aren't buying, it's because people just can't find you and want to buy from you immediately. If you have that messaging there, I followed somebody this week. I found a product. I loved it, and you can like immediately wanted to buy from them. Immediately was like, okay, let me check out your website and see what you have going, and wanting to buy from them. It's because they hit the right points. They were speaking to what I was looking for. It was very timely. It was there, and I was immediately shopping for it. And that is the kind of vibe that you are going for in what you are selling. Is you want people to find your profile, immediately binge the content, get all of the information they need to know, go to your website and start shopping. That comes from messaging and understanding a content strategy. Messaging and content go very hand in hand, where you can create the most beautiful content. Your content might already be incredibly visually appealing, but it might just not have the right proper messaging there in order to actually want to get people to take action. You need to really see what phase of the buying cycle your audience is in. Are you selling to people that are cold? Are you trying to get new cold leads, warm leads, hot leads? Are you trying to get people in what stage of that buying cycle to buy right now, and how can you adjust it? So it comes from knowing the sales process, knowing what that really looks like, and moving them into like kind of understanding. You need that deep understanding of a sales funnel, and then just giving them the proper messaging at the right time. Now that might sound incredibly complicated, but it's actually really, really easy when it's all laid out for you. And you just kind of cycle through the sales funnel, because then you're naturally just moving people through this funnel at all times. But a lot of times you need to change how you're selling. It isn't just let me have to revamp everything. Your content might be great right now. It's just switching the messaging that you have. It's switching what you're focusing on. It's switching if you're educating or if you're inspiring or whatever you're doing right now, it's switching the focus and speaking about your product in a different light in order to get people to actually take that action. And I think that's something that in my signature program, Product to Profit, which helps people get to consistent sales and teaches these two things at a very high level, that's something that I hear all the time. Is they say, honestly, yes, I had to change things, but it was more so just changing what I was writing in my content. It's not that you're like totally flipping what you're doing on its head. It's that your videos are great. Your visually appealing branding, whatever that is probably great. What you have to do is actually just flip what you're saying. It's changing to just writing something different. It's putting a different line on that reel. It's actually just speaking about your product in a different way. You're already doing all of the work. It's not going to add any more time to what you're doing. It's honestly going to subtract time, because you're not like in this idea paralysis of, okay, what do I want to write? How do I do this? You just know what to say and when you know the sales process. And it can actually simplify this process so much easier for you. People find that it's actually way more motivating in order to do these things. The major switch is really like making that switch from, oh my gosh, look at how gorgeous all of my stuff is. My products are wonderful. I love them. You need this for summer. This is my summer favorite. Like I literally wear this every day. I'm obsessed with it. Like I created it and you need it. Look at how cute this pattern is. To really like bringing them through a process of already owning your product. What are the benefits of it? Getting a little bit richer and deeper with your sales messaging. And that comes from just an understanding of why people buy. This is why we teach 4 types of buyers. It's why we teach the buying cycle, is because buying is a science. It is things that you can learn how to do. There's a reason consumer behavior are full classes. There's a reason that some of these things that like buyer psychology is a full course that people take in college. I took in college, is because it is an actual science as to why people buy. Having a deep understanding of sales knowledge and a deep understanding of your audience allows you to really have this proper messaging. And those are things that we teach inside of that signature program, Product to Profit, which is 12 weeks. We have a round of that program coming up in June. If that's something you're interested in, you can head on over to my Instagram and DM me PTP, and I'd love to send you over some information on that. So to kind of recap here, we have 2 major focuses when you are trying to hit consistent sales. When you're trying to get to that consistent sales mark, the major gaps that people a lot of times have is they don't focus on connecting with their audience and building enough community in their content. Your focus is much too product focused at the end of the day. It is not enough, but it's focused on the wrong side of the product. If we put these 2 things together, you need to focus on community and you need to focus on sales messaging. You are focusing on the product where you need to focus on what it's going to be like to own it, what those benefits are, and a lot more kind of messaging that you have to put out there that is actually going to entice people to want to take action on your social. If you think about it, people are literally sitting there scrolling on their phone on social media, not thinking that they're going to buy something. And your content, your email, whatever you're doing is supposed to like stop them in their tracks and actually pull their credit card out and put it in their phone and actually go through that process. So it has to be compelling. It can't just be, look at how beautiful this is, you should go and buy it, or I love this so much, you need to buy it too. It has to be deeper than that. If you aren't talking about like rich, deep topics around your brand, that is something that you are missing. If you are like, Maddie, I have no idea where to start here. I truly feel like I'm doing these things and it's not working, or I have no idea what you're even talking about. How do you build community online? What's a sales funnel? I don't know what any of that is. This is exactly what we focus on and teach inside of my signature program, Product to Profit. This is where we teach you how to build your ride or die community and make consistent sales on social media. I will teach you all of the necessary strategies, all of the necessary frameworks and science through all of the fluff that you might be learning, and telling you exactly what you need to know and going through this process with you. One-on-one calls with me, private messaging with me, a group for support, and it's a really tight-knit group of people, so you have so much of my attention on your business to help you grow and get to this consistent sales mark. If you are so sick of not having the sales that you want, then this would be the perfect program for you to hop in. You can click the link in the show notes and apply there, or send me a DM on Instagram that says PTP if that's easier for you, and I can just send you some details there. We have a group going out in June that we already have some people joining us for, and I can't wait to launch that with you as well. If you have been stuck in, again, this like purgatory in between getting some sales, but you can't actually make enough sales to make it feel viable yet, what you need to do is really look at that strategy. You need to look at the people and how you're connecting with them, and you need to look at your sales process, because those are the two things that a lot of people miss. Those are the two things that have a lot of gaps when they're trying to fix this hole, to grow this next step. And really, you have the people in front of you, you have the branding, you have the foundations most of the time. It's just making small tweaks, and it'll actually come a lot sooner than you think. There's a reason that I post things of clients that have 10x'd their $500 revenue goes to $5,000 revenue in a month, in 3 months of implementing this strategy, is because your audience is ready to buy. You just aren't giving them the proper communication, the proper messaging, the proper content in order to get them to actually buy. It's not that you have to revamp everything you're doing and add all of this to your plate. It's that you have to swap what you're doing for something that is strategic and something that has strategy. And I don't blame you for not having a solid strategy and knowing how to do these things. This is something that you have to learn as a business owner, is because we aren't born knowing how to make somebody buy something. And that's exactly what I teach inside of Product to Profit, is I teach you those necessary frameworks, that necessary science, in order to actually get people to buy from you consistently. If you are interested in that, DM me on Instagram at thisismadisonpaige. You can DM me PTP. If you have any questions, that's where I am at as well. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Make sure you are following along. There are so many good things to come. I hope this was helpful for you. Look at that community. How can you connect with your audience deeper, and look at that sales process? Do you understand how to move people through a sales process? Do you know what content to put out at different times to move people through and closer to buying? If that answer is no, you have to learn that sales process strategy. That is really, really important. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. I love you. I'm rooting for you, and I'm in your corner always.